All right. Thank you all for coming to the meeting. Will you please join me for the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We have a public comment from Ruth.
Let's see. Do we use this so it's already on, or do I have to turn the, I guess they're both on. Okay. So, thanks for having me. I just wanted to make some quick comments regarding some correspondence I put in your packet for tonight, my resignation from the Finance Board. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that I'm really resigning from the board for no other reason than I've been on the board for 10 years now. And I just think it's a good time to make some space for some new faces and some new voices. I feel like 10 years is just a real solid commitment, long time, and I just wanted to step aside for that reason. But it's been a really great experience. I appreciate the opportunity from the present select board, the past select boards, and all of the town employees too. It's kind of hard to separate from something you've been part of for so long, but I'll probably still watch all of the finance board meetings. I do watch all of the select board meetings. I watch them from home, so even though I'm not here, I'm still pretty informed about what's going on in town. So if anybody has any questions, wants to bounce any, municipal finance concepts off of me or have any other questions about the town, then please reach out. I'll still be around. I do chair the Groveland Cultural Council. You can see information on the website about that. Grant cycle is open, FYI. Applications till, I think, mid-October. You can see information on the website about that. So, yeah, and I just wanted to really encourage anybody else from the community to step up and volunteer for any of the boards. It's really been a very rewarding experience that I really appreciate. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, we're going to jump into the Memorandum of Understanding with Massachusetts Health Officers and Association.
Good evening. David Greenbaum for the Board of Health. I'm here to answer questions regarding the memo of understanding with Mass Health Officers Association. Just a little background on the memorandum. This will allow us to appoint the MHOA as health agents in the town to conduct things like compliance checks, inspections in our tobacco vendors, make sure they're in compliance with all Massachusetts state laws currently, because my understanding is the town of Groveland doesn't have any tobacco control regulations. They'll also give us technical assistance to draft regulations at the local level. So I'm in favor of this memorandum. I hope you've had the opportunity to review it, and I'm here to answer questions for whatever you have.
All right, does anybody have any questions? No. Kathy?
Just, we've heard about this before. This is not the first time, so
No.
we usually ask questions when we first hear about something. But if you could just, right now, we've been using some services, right, because we have a vacancy in our health agent, is that it?
We do
So
have a
they've been
vacancy in the
helpful.
health agent position, but they're not doing this type of service.
Okay.
It's covering our inspectional services.
Right.
So restaurant inspections, any complaints that we're getting, we have some help with Title V inspections and Title V services, things like that.
Right.
So that grant is covering, it's a separate grant, they're covering those services. This particular MOU it's not a grant to the town, it's not grant services, it's a grant that MHOA holds, and they have the ability to use that grant to provide these services to municipalities that aren't covered by a tobacco control program. The town of Groveland used to be covered by a tobacco control program many years ago, but due to budget cuts, and we have very few tobacco control vendors, we were cut out of that program many years ago. So this is an opportunity to get some of those services back to the town at no cost to the town.
That's the important one, no cost. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that are we signing this? Is the chair, who signs this?
We all do, I believe.
Board of Health? of the select board? Okay, so we'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding and have our chair sign the memorandum of understanding. There is a motion.
I'll second that.
Mrs. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? As none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Unanimous.
Is it possible to get that signed this evening?
Yes.
Thank you.
Want
Thank
it?
you.
We could do it now. What? You have a pen?
Bring it over here. I'll sign it right now.
We don't have the thing?
Or at the end of the meeting, it's fine. Next up is bus route safety consultation.
So in the packet, there was a copy of the letter that I worked with the town administrator on to draft to send to the school committee and the superintendent's office. I don't know if there was any questions or if anybody had anything that they wanted to add or modify, but otherwise, I'd like to see if we could approve signing this and sending it.
Could you do me a favor and read that for everybody to hear?
I certainly can. So the subject is collaborative input on future bus route changes, and the letter reads, "Dear members of the Pentucket Regional School Committee and Superintendent Bartholomew, the Groveland Select Board appreciates the district's dedication to providing safe and reliable transportation for all Pentucket students. We recognize that as the entity with the contract for student transportation, the district, through its partnership with Salter Transportation, is responsible for planning and coordinating bus routes. Following recent route changes, students are now required to board the bus on roads without sidewalks and wait on the shoulder, raising significant safety concerns. Because student safety is our highest priority and a shared responsibility, we invite the district and Salter Transportation to collaborate with the Groveland Police Department before making any future route changes in Groveland. Our police department can offer valuable local insight on traffic patterns, roadway conditions, and neighborhood concerns. We believe this collaboration offers significant benefits for everyone. It helps anticipate potential safety issues before they arise, strengthens community confidence, and supports smoother communication with families by reducing last-minute route adjustments. Chief Gillen has expressed his full support for this initiative, and the department is ready to assist in any way needed. We would be happy to connect the district or Salter Transportation with the Groveland Police Department to discuss how we can best incorporate this input. We look forward to hearing your thoughts and working together on next steps at your earliest convenience so we can move ahead in a timely way. Thank you for your continued collaboration and for your commitment to the well-being of every Pentucket student." And I will just add that we did share this letter with the chief, and he was on board with it.
That was a very, very well put together letter. Does anybody have any comments? Kathy?
I have a question. So, as I understand it, part of the reason this came about is because there were changes made and we have students standing in the road. So this doesn't address the current changes. Should you change that sentence to collaborate with the current changes and future changes? Because are we going to leave the students standing in the road through the winter? I thought the point was to try and fix this problem and then be available in the future for any changes, not to just ignore this problem and go to the future.
I believe there's already been some changes.
Yeah, I think they've made a few adjustments. I don't know if they've resolved every issue, but I think they've made a few adjustments.
Well-
I know the one route in particular has been reverted back to what it was last year.
Okay, but wouldn't it be good to add the current changes so that they contact our police chief as they're deciding how to change things? They're getting complaints from parents right now because that's what you want them to do, right? Contact Chief Gillen and find out what would be the best solution to that problem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel strongly about that one way or another. I look at it as if they're going to change something, that we try to encourage them to collaborate with the police department. I don't know
Well, yes, so
what that would look like.
you said their parents are complaining, so I assume there might be more changes coming down. I'm just saying, shouldn't we put a sentence in that says, right in there where you said future changes, the current changes, current and future changes, just to keep it in the present day of this year? Don't we want the collaboration to start now, if possible?
Yeah, I think the letter specifically
No, it says future. I just think if you
Yeah,
put,
any future changes. So if you're going to change anything, you should probably consult with the,
well, I think it'd be just an easy change to that one sentence, to just put, recent students are now required to board the bus, wait on the bus, say it, So I'm making any current or future route changes, right down there in the second paragraph, second sentence at the end, making any current or future rate changes.
okay.
Just add the
Noted.
words current or future. That way it kind of makes it this year and beyond. I think it's more, because in the previous paragraph, you name the problems this year. So, yeah, we'd like that addressed, right? I would,
Becky?
yep.
No, I see what you're getting at, because you're mentioning the changes, but you mentioned the future. It's wanting to have a discussion now, just to make sure. I know that one route was fixed, but if there's other ones, I think that minor change kind of shows, not just to talk next year, but to maybe prompt a conversation for this year.
Yeah, I think the thought process behind the wording was if they're going to change something now, that would be a
Right.
future change.
Right, right.
But we could certainly call it out.
Because because
Yeah,
the one bus route that was fixed, you know of any others?
I don't.
You don't, yeah. That's the only thing I was thinking of.
Ed? Almost set. All set?
Yeah.
So you want to go ahead and make that motion along with those changes?
so I'll make the motion to approve the letter as written with the change in the second paragraph, second sentence, starting with before making any current or future route changes in Groveland.
I'll second it.
Yes.
Motion second, any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
Well-written letter. Thank you for working on that.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, now we have a correction to a presentation from the trash that Arthur had presented to us. Yes, please.
So obviously I'm not going to repeat the entire presentation, but I did revise it, actually some data was given to me. It was not reflected.
Is it? Sometimes you have to
Nice,
hold it
is that
really
little-
close.
It's on? All right.
Oh, there you go.
Here I go.
That's perfect.
Right, so I'm not going to repeat the presentation again, but what happened was the data was mixed up, meaning that I used FY 21 data as the data I use. So what I did is I just revised it and used the current data, which is the 1892, which was approximately 244 tons difference, which ended up leading to 1.5 pound deduction per week in each home. At the end, the findings were the same as before, just a little bit less on the tonnage per home per week. But as you can see, if you read it at the end, the same amount of homes were affected in the same exact way I presented last week. So that's all I have.
Thank you. I think the biggest takeaway was the 21, year 21 being swapped with 25. It showed a slight increase, but that increase should have been in 21 when everybody was home from the pandemic.
Yeah.
So,
Shows that I was speaking about how flat it is after that. Doesn't vary that much. Hence, rerunning the numbers didn't make that big difference.
thank you very much. Kathy has a presentation.
I do. Great, so. It's on. Okay, so I just wanted to take a moment after that correction was made and just connect like Groveland's trash information to like the overview of the whole trash industry, where we're going, what's happening, and what does it mean to us in Groveland? You know, what are we talking about? Because there was a time when Groveland was having 4 barrels of trash in their contract. And I, for one, never thought there was a problem with this. You know, I've come to find out through my work on the committee that this is a big problem. So I just put together a couple of summary slides, so I'll go pretty quickly. So the question, what can we agree on? The larger recycling cart. I think we can agree. Some people I know don't like the tremendously large size, but I think over time, hopefully the ginormous look of it will settle down and we'll get used to it. But the recycling cart is the lighter cart. That should not have the heavy stuff in it. So it should be manageable. I know my cart, it wheels easily. It still looks really big to me. It's going to take a while. But the message is clear, you know, put stuff here. And I have heard from residents, you know, who weren't too keen on what was going on with trash because they wanted to be able to do what they already did. But they've also said they don't really have a lot of good information on what they can put in the recycle bin. So I think the education component of this whole endeavor is still ongoing. I think everybody agreed, at least by now, that automated pickup has to happen. And even that in the beginning, people were saying, why do we have to go to that? I like my carts. What's the problem? Well, the problem is in the hauling industry. And we know that now. They're moving towards automated. It's too big a liability to have these drivers lifting carts that they don't know what's in it, right? And they're getting injured. The third thing I think I say agree on, because this is like a may or may not thing, but I hope everybody understands that at this point, whether or not there's an overflow bag, we don't know yet until negotiations occur. Excuse me. Talking all day at school doesn't help. Hang on. So until we see what the negotiations are panning out to be and what haulers tell us, well, are they going to charge us additional cost? Is it going to become something that is cumbersome, that we can't handle logistically here? Are they going to be counting them? Are we going to be counting them? You know, how are we going to do it? So we don't know all that yet. And we won't know it until we get some specs back from a negotiation. Okay. So this is, I know it's tiny, little tiny print, but this was a thing that I stole from the Topsfield report, because they did a really good job of looking around, all around us, at what everybody else is doing. So, you know, around us, what's happening? Merrimack has a completely pay-as-you-throw program. You have to buy the bags and you have to use the bags. If you want anything different, you have to contract yourself. Okay? Georgetown has a transfer station, but if you want curbside, you contract yourself. And I believe the cost is over $400. You'll see a lot of nodes there on smaller towns for curbside pickup. Okay, and that's just because they never made the decision to adopt curbside pickup as a municipality cost, okay? So they never said, yeah, we're going to do that. And the reason is simple, is that economies of scale for a small town, as the industry costs have gone up, for a small town budget, this cost becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And it chews up a lot more of our discretionary spending. So it's just nice to see what everybody else is doing. It doesn't mean that's what we do, but it never hurts to look over the fence and see what's going on around us. I think it's always good information. Okay, next. Okay, so overall, what does the data tell us? We know our tonnage. Okay, this we know. We know how to transfer tonnage into pounds. Everybody agrees on that, right? You can divide that by weeks. You could divide it by people, okay? But we're not giving out trash carts to individual people. We're giving a trash cart to a household. So you need to look at this by household, because that's how the bids are going to be. How many households are you asking this hauler to pick up? Okay? That's how it goes. It's by household. So overall, you know, when you look at what we're doing, it's not too bad on average. I mean, based on what we did during the pandemic, we've come down. we've come down. But make sure you realize that trash tonnage you saw in the pandemic, it happened here. Okay, that means it can happen, right? So you want to watch that. Let me go up. And then this I stole from Arthur's stuff, thank you. No, I'm glad you pulled out the census data stuff because it really did help kind of lock this down into what's going on in Groveland. How many households do we have and how many people live in that? And you could see that we have a lot of households now with 3 or less people. The bigger families, not as many. Could that change over time? Yeah, but I think it'll be a slower change because this kind of demographic, they're seen in most of the school systems around us. Declining enrollment, right? Except for Whittier, where I work, where we can't fit them all. But for the most part, you know, families are having children, but there's not as many families now as people that have raised their family and are staying in their home. Okay, go to the next one. Okay. So households, this surprised me, with 3 or less, 70% of total households. And we do dispose of less than the 45 pounds on average that go into the 35-gallon cart. Does that mean that everybody disposes of that amount that could fit in that cart? No, because we're doing averages here. Okay, we're playing with numbers, not with hard data based on what people actually have thrown out, because we don't have that data for Groveland, right? We know driving around, we can see they're using different size containers. Are they 50? Are they 64? It's hard to tell sometimes. So, you know, best we can estimate is that at least 30% of the homes in town will not be able to deal with just one 35-gallon cart, okay? So when you look at it and you see that, you go, okay, what do you want to do about it? Okay. And this is where, you know, we went through a lot of iterations in the TRC looking at the potential savings under 64-gallon carts, under 35-gallon carts. And I know it wasn't Groveland-specific data, but it was data from towns that are using those carts. So this kind of data we will eventually have for ourselves, and we'll be able to know more specifically what people are doing in Groveland, okay? The point remains that the less we throw out, the more we save on our trash budget, okay? That's a thing. So, you know, as we look at all that trash needs by household and we think about our town as a community, okay? We're all a community. We don't want to shove anybody off a cliff and say, you're no good, we don't want you. And we don't want to make villains out of anybody that says, hey, I think we could do better, okay? We need to all be respectful of all the different opinions on this. Okay, next. Okay, so we did the town survey, all right? And it did show that a lot of people in the 700 people surveyed, remember that's not the whole amount of households that we studied, but they did say they liked a 64-gallon cart. Now, in that group, there was also a subgroup that said, but I would not mind getting a second 35-gallon cart if you went that way. But is that something to do or not to do? The survey was helpful. We also had a public information session, both with the trash committee and with the select board, and we allowed people to say whatever they wanted for the most part, and I think that's important. You let the community come in and air their opinion, their views, their questions, their concerns. So to that end, I feel like we've done a lot of work to hear from the community. We've done as much effort as we can with the communication means we have, okay, to let everybody say, what is it that you're concerned about, okay? Our presentation through Brian Walsh, who was our resident expert, did show us the track for landfills and for incinerators. So rest assured that any contract that we go into is going to have a clause that collects funds if they have to divert tons to a more expensive place. They're in business too, you know. So we're not going to be able to lock in every cost. I think we're going to be able to lock in a pickup cost, and maybe you'll be able to get a tipping fee, but I mean, from what we've seen in other towns, there's going to be a clause so that if that particular company hauler has to haul it to another facility and it costs them more, I don't think they can afford to sign a contract if they can't collect that additional cost. Okay. And that's why we talk about costs going up so much. We just don't know how much. So here's where we are now. All these meetings, all these surveys, all this discussion to pick a cart size. But, you know, it's a decision that we'll have to live with for the next 5 to 10 years. And we don't know right now if tonnage is going to go up or down. It doesn't look like it's skyrocketing. I agree with Arthur on that. When you take out the pandemic side, you can see there's a little increase going on. That makes some sense, but we don't have any huge developments going in that are going to be on the town pickup. All of the apartments and condominiums have to contract separately. So they pay their taxes and they pay for this, but they do not get this service, which we've heard from some of them about, well, why not? So I don't think we can expect to take them on in addition. We do expect a reduction in the pickup cost. Okay, just looking at what other towns have been able to get, yes. And in that first year, that money, there will be a decrease. There will be money in the budget that used to be in the trash curbside pickup line item that's not needed. But after that, that money doesn't sit there. Unless there's a decision made to put that money into a special account or a revolving or an enterprise fund like we do for water and sewer, that money's not there the next year. It's in the general fund. And the same goes for overrides. As we all know, the year the override is voted, it goes to the service that it was there for. It goes to trash, it goes to the school. But after that, it's in the general fund. It's anybody's game as to who gets that money the next year. You can't say that money is set aside. It's not. So when we consider everything and we start to look ahead and we try to make the best decision we can for our community, for all the people that live in this town, you know, so that as we transition to this curbside pickup with automation, you know, we want people to be positive about it. I know some people don't care, you know, just pick up my trash. But we also want there to be generally a feeling of engagement from the public, that they understand what's going on, they understand the changes, and they understand the need to recycle more. And to me, that's one of the most important things that we have to get out there. And do I have another one? I might. Oh, my takeaway, of course. So, you know, I sit on the select board and I sat on the trash and recycling committee, and I enjoy both boards. This is not an easy decision because definitely there are people on both sides of it, and that's not going to change. We have to make a decision. It cannot, I still see people posting, I don't know, on the Crier, was it, or somewhere, put it on the ballot. You can't put it on the ballot because what are you going to put on the ballot? The cart size? So do you want a 64-gallon cart? We have a whole special election to determine, you know, the cart size. This is a decision that's supposed to be made with the select board and with the community. And it should be there. And the select board has always negotiated the contracts before. Okay, that's always been the way. This is the first time that the select board has said, let's have a committee do some research and get us as much information as possible. And the committee did that. They dug and dug and they looked and they looked, and they've presented this board at least over 2 or 3 presentations of data. Also, within the boards, we're all select board members. We're all here, I believe, for the same reason, to help this town. Okay? So I would like this decision to be hopefully within the select board unanimous, so that we unite and we don't divide. The town is divided on this cart size thing. It's up to us to come up with a solution that makes sense, that addresses the many facets of the decision, but also says this is something that we can live with and we're going to work with. I also am recommending, and we've spoken about this at some of our final trash and recycling committees, and I know I might have spoken about it at select board meetings, that many towns around us have then moved on to what they call sustainability committee. And that's usually a larger committee. It allows more residents to get drawn in, more people with expertise. It doesn't meet that often, at least not the ones I've reviewed, like quarterly. And their whole charge is to look at different sustainability things, whether it's just trash or maybe branching off into electricity or water use or any of those things. It's fine. Whatever interest the sustainability committee decides could be helpful to the town, they go for it. You know, I know that we have some people that are busy planting trees. That's sustainability, right? That's part of this whole thing of trying to make things a little better than when we started, right? I mean, that's the best we can hope for. So I just wanted to tie it all together and hopefully reach out and make sure everybody understood where it all came from. And then the next slide is dissolution. I better turn off the mic.
Does anybody have any questions for Kathy?
Yeah.
No? Thank you, Kathy. I think
You're
it's,
welcome.
A great presentation.
Thank you.
Stephanie, did you want to make your comments now, or would you prefer to discuss them after we start talking about the dissolution of the trash committee?
Well, I have two comments of mine, and then somebody sent one as well.
Actually, dissolution is
you-
F. E. We haven't done E.
Yes. I just think for a discussion, where would it be better? And probably now, trying to sell everybody on the idea of saving and reducing trash? Okay. Go for it.
And then I'll read the other one as well?
Sure.
Do you have to turn it on. Hold it close.
It's not as easy as it looks.
I didn't break it, did I?
There we go.
You broke it.
No, hold it closer.
Is it on?
It doesn't sound on. Oh, it's flickering. I think we need tech help.
I don't know what that means.
Battery's dead. Try the little one on the table.
Oh, wait, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
My name is Stephanie Bartelt, and I would like to, sorry, can you hear me now? It's solid green now. Thanks, Jason. My name is Stephanie Bartelt. I live on Chestnut Street. I'd like to make a formal public comment as both a citizen of the town of Groveland as well as a member of the Trash and Recycling Committee as appointed by the town of Groveland. As we move forward as a town in making decisions about our trash contract, I'd like to make a few points abundantly clear, kind of echoing some of the points that Kathy's already made. The Trash and Recycling Committee was appointed to assist in this effort for the town. We spent years of our time carefully researching a lot of details, working alongside Mass DEP, which is trying to assist Massachusetts communities in decreasing trash tonnage in order to decrease cost. After a lot of time and effort, we arrived at the conclusion and made recommendations, including a 96-gallon recycling cart to promote recycling, as well as 35-gallon trash carts, which hold at least 3 tall kitchen garbage bags. We also recommended continuing to provide overflow bags for those who can generally work with a 35-gallon trash cart, but also want the extra security of an additional option. Grants were received for starter kits for Black Earth composting, and we have sent a colorful newsletter to all households about how to divert certain items from trash, and plan to do much more public education about all of our local options for diverting items from trash. If you have the financial best interest of the town in mind, then saving $60,000 off the bat with a Mass DEP grant for 35-gallon cart makes good sense. They are incentivizing decreased trash output. Other towns have gone this route. Groveland can do this. Studies have shown that people fill up what they have. For those who think they can't survive with a 35-gallon cart, the TRC made an excellent compromise, allowing for a second cart to be leased. Topsfield reported that they had far fewer households choosing a second 35-gallon cart than they even anticipated. This is the best way to subsidize the trash output generated by a few people in town. If you have your townspeople's financial best interests in mind, then the 35-gallon cart makes good sense. Charging everyone for the extra trash generated by a few is not fair or equitable. Charging someone living on a single income or Social Security the same as a dual income family is not fair. The people who generate more trash, who don't feel that they can divert enough to fit into a 35-gallon trash cart that's at least 3 tall kitchen garbage bags, have the option of a second barrel, allowing for a total of 70 gallons of trash per week, even more than the single 64-gallon cart that they think they want, with the sole caveat being they just have to pay the price of a cup of coffee per week for it. The TRC listened to the concerns found in the survey, and we performed and developed this compromise to meet those concerns. If we don't make good financial decisions now and face an override in the future due to escalating trash costs, the very first budget cuts will be to town staff, and we know that cuts will hit our Council on Aging and the library hard. Both are valuable to us as a town. The Council on Aging provides essential services to our growing elderly population, including a food pantry and medical transportation. From there, we can expect cuts in police, fire, and schools, as well as other town hall operations. The options are clear. The decision you make today will have long-term consequences. Our landfills are reaching capacity. We can only safely incinerate so much trash. The ash produced by incineration is toxic. Almost half of the trash that Massachusetts generates is shipped out of state, including Groveland's. New Hampshire is finally starting to charge a $3.50 per ton fee. This is only the beginning, as they and other states realize how much trash they are receiving. From an environmental standpoint, we cannot keep doing what we're doing. Change is hard, but this compromise makes it much easier. Unfortunately, sometimes tough decisions have to be made, and this is one of them. And I appreciate your time in listening to that. And now I just have another comment that was sent to me as well.
This one's from Ingrid.
Inga
Inga?
3 years ago, she lives on
Pine-
Pinewood Street, yes. 3 years ago, you appointed a committee to study and research the trash and recycling issues in preparation for a new contract due in 2026. The committee has now recommended that the Groveland Town issue a 35-gallon barrel for trash and a 96-gallon barrel for recycling. I fully support their recommendations and urge the members of the board to approve and implement these changes. It is understandable that it might be difficult for some to comply with these new restrictions, especially since we have allowed almost unlimited trash in the past and recycling is voluntary. In order to prevent the cost of trash collection from ballooning to an unsustainable level, it is absolutely necessary for the citizens of Groveland to cut back drastically on the trash we produce. It is also important to consider the negative impact on the environment if we do not reduce our trash volume. This targeted reduction of trash will ultimately benefit all the members in our community. For those who may initially have a hard time with the smaller trash barrels, there's the option of paying for an additional barrel at a cost of approximately $178 per year, which is a very reasonable fee. An even cheaper alternative is purchasing overflow bags at about $2.50 per bag. I respect and accept the findings of the Trash and Recycling Committee, who worked diligently for years to find the best solution for Groveland. They gathered data, looked at information and guidelines from the state, and weighed all the pros and cons. The cost of trash collection will certainly be out of control if we don't heed the information that this committee has gathered and presented to the town. Thank you. Inga Berga.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on
Trash.
trash?
Like I said at the last meeting, no disrespect to the people that did all this searching. I thought we went to 5 selectmen so that they didn't have to be put out to committees all the time, but at the same time, you know, ultimately, if there's 700 people that wanted 64-gallon trash barrels, you know, that's almost half of what people that vote every year, maybe even more.
Qualification, it wasn't all 700, it was 60% of the 700. So
Well,
you do
either
the
way,
math.
I mean,
It's 400. 400.
you know, yeah, the people that are living with 1 or 2 people in the house that can get by with 35 gallons, great. You know, that's wonderful. Maybe you go out and you ask people what size they want, but you should at least have a 64 for the people that have more than 2 people in their house. As far as what Arthur did on his survey, the tonnage has been fairly level, going down. We've appropriated, what, almost $1.2 million in monies in the town budget for trash, and we're spending 900, I believe is what was brought up at the last
Close to
meeting.
that, yeah.
Yeah, so every year there's 2.5% more going on to that. You know, so there's money going up. Currently, the dispatch center is going to be going to the state, so we're going to have, what, almost $400,000 in surplus money. Are we going to do an underride on all these monies that we're going to save? Are we going to do an underride on the trash when we cut back on it? I doubt it. You know, so people are paying for a service. I understand all the information that went into it, but based on what Arthur did, I don't think that there's any large amount of trash adding on to the thing. I mean, there's been what, they can build 30 extra houses every year, is according to the town bylaw. You know, whether they are or they aren't, over many years they have. But this has been going on since back, you know, how many overrides did we do? Every time there's a shortage of money, it's an override on the trash.
We did 4.
Great. 4?
4. One failed, and we still didn't cut trash. So it's not really a,
Yeah, so
There's not really a good
ultimately-
justification
So
for
ultimately,
putting
you know,
trash.
going at it like it's a money issue, it's not really a money issue. So if you do the next contract with a 64-gallon barrel, and if people only want a 35, that's great. Let them have a 35. But from what the people were doing at the last meeting, I don't think a lot of them can live with the 35. And I know I can't.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Rock.
Hi, my name is Rock Dower, 107 School Street. A couple of questions. One, you said that if the driver doesn't have to get out of the vehicle, that's a big savings. Yes, no?
Yes, that's what automated
Okay.
is. Yep.
Well, what are you going to do? People start getting these extra trash bags. He has to get out.
Rock, again, as I said in my presentation, the decision about an overflow bag or not an overflow bag is not yet decided and cannot be until we see what the negotiations bear, because your point is good. If you put it on top, does it work? Or does the guy still have to get out and center it? I don't know. But we'll find out, okay?
Well, if we went
That
with a
needs to be
64,
vetted.
we probably don't have to worry about overflow trash bags.
People will be over
if
64.
somebody needs an overflow trash bag with a 64-gallon tote, well, that's his personal fault for, creating that much trash. I think you're going to get more bags, with the 35. And that way there, you stand less of a chance of a driver having to keep getting in and out of the truck. And I understand the point that the company has to try to save money too.
Right.
But, I look at it that way, a 64, because everybody says we're not really paying any extra for the size of the barrel. It's just the total tonnage of trash. So we could go with 296s even, or whatever it is, because they're not going to charge us anymore, right?
No, the tonnage will go. So here's the thing.
Why will the tonnage go up
So
if
here's
we
the,
go with a bigger bag?
because the cost of tonnage is going to go up so
I
much.
understand all that, but no matter what size trash
Okay,
barrel
but-
you get, it's going to go up.
Okay, but the other side to the coin is that, and this has been researched and studied by towns that have shifted to different sizes. The larger the cart size, people grow to fit it. Unfortunately, that's the inclination is, oh, there's room in the trash. Well, what else have we got to throw out this week? Okay, that happens. So the tonnage, if you put something beyond what we're doing now, if you went 96, no question in my mind, not only would the tonnage cost go up, but the tonnage would go up over time.
I
No
understand. I was
question.
being a little facetious on
Okay,
that.
you got me.
But
Yeah.
adversely, if you go with a 35, they're going to start stuffing it so hard, the driver's going to have to get out of the truck
Right.
anyway.
You've
to
made,
loosen that up.
yes, you made your point about the difficulty of the 35,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, the driver will not get out if you overstuff your barrel. If it doesn't dump, they're just going to leave it.
And tag it.
That.
And then we'll find trash all over the streets.
Yes, well, that is the reality. Yes.
Thank you, David Greenbaum, 23 Carlita Road, a member of the committee. I guess, based on the data, it shows that the tonnage hasn't risen dramatically over time. But what is going to rise over time is tipping fees. And the only way to bring that cost down is to reduce the tonnage that you throw out. So if your tonnage fee today is $103 a ton, next year it's going to be $125 a ton. The year after that, it's going to be $150 a ton. Whatever it's going to be, those tipping fees are never going to stay the same. So the cost to dispose of trash is always going to go up, regardless of what the amount of tons you throw out. So the recommendation is not to limit people to one 35-gallon tote or cart. It's the opportunity, if you need it, to get a second one at a fee. I get it. I had a family of 5. I raised newborn children. I threw diapers out. I threw out 1 trash can a week, and I put out tons of recycling. It can be done. It's not impossible. But you have to remember, those tipping fees are not going down. They're only going to go up.
Yeah, I think one of the most important thing is when it comes to cost, the understandable costs are a lot of times are the insurance. And you should know from being on the board, and you should know from being on finance and from the school, the insurance doesn't adhere to anything. They just go up, whatever they feel like. The last time there was a 14.1% for the school. So those are all costs that have to be consumed and worked other ways. Health insurance, workman's comp. Yeah, well, depending on where it is, and we all know that because it hits us everywhere. So those are all different things that affect the cost.
Mr. Chairman, can I just address the issue of underride and override? Because I think sometimes the general public thinks that we're pulling a fast one, right? We know the curbside pickup cost is going down when we go to automated. Why not underride the tax rate? Because you're sending a false signal. We'll just be back for an override in a year or so because of all of the other issues that we just have discussed. So here's the thing. We all budget, we all make a home budget, and the last thing we want is an erratic tax rate, something that jumps up a lot by like what happened in Georgetown. We don't want that. Okay, so we don't want to have a budget that's so tight that it's right up against the max of the 2.5%, because then it's not going to take much of nothing before we need an override just to maintain services. And right now, we've gone, 2 years so far without an override with maintenance of services. And that, for a municipality, is a difficult thing. If you looked around us, Merrimack had an override for 28 firefighters. Georgetown had an enormous override for schools, firefighters, and I forget what else. We are working hard to try to find ways to not raise your taxes if we can avoid it. We can't promise it, but we can tell you that's what we're working hard at. And since trash is something that we address once every 5 years when the contract comes up, that's why you have seen this repeated droning on, if you want to call it, about cart size and savings and what other towns are doing and what Groveland can do and what the survey says. We've talked about it a lot because this is our one time to try to decide the best we can for the whole town, and get people to buy into this idea that no matter what cart we get, we're still going to work on the educational component and looking for ways for you to divert things that maybe you're throwing out right now. But underride for the dispatch center, no. No, because we've been in a position of having to hire full-time police officers because the mandate came down that you can no longer use the reserve officers. So, yes, and we've been replacing police officers. And so when the dispatch moves, what about our 24-hour center? Are we still going to want somebody there? I would think so. It's a community center. Anybody can walk in there any time of day or night who's having a trouble and get help. Okay, we don't want them just yelling into a phone, right? So to start demanding underrides, you did an underride one time, and then within 2 years, you were back for an override. I would prefer not to destabilize the tax rate by underwriting and overriding within a 2-year period. It doesn't help people. It just doesn't help, in my opinion.
Ruth?
So since I offered my resignation from the Finance Board tonight, I thought I would make my final comments on behalf of the Finance Board. As Ruth Rivard, I live at 6 Berrywood Lane in Groveland, and I've been on the Finance Committee for 10 years. And I can say every year it's harder and harder to balance the budget. And we hear from all of the different constituents. We did achieve one override in the last decade, and that was to balance the school budget, as well as we had put forth a study, a rate study for our town employees. And so we were able to increase bring some of our employees back up to more of an average wage for the area. And I was really proud to be able to do that. But I can say that there are just so many parts of the budget, particularly the school budget, that increase so much every year. And the school has started to work with us a little bit. The school is about 2/3 of our budget, and they did start to put in some user fees this year in order to bring in more revenues to balance their budget. I feel like they kind of did their part, and I feel like what we're asking is for the residents also to have a little bit more of user fees, a little bit more pay as you throw. If you're using or producing more trash now, then maybe you supplement your share of that, and you're probably eventually going to grow out of that, right? As if your kids move out, if you end up being able to produce more recycling. I think that it's more, not trying to take services away from anybody, but trying to find creative ways to balance a very challenging budget and asking everybody to come up with creative ways to do their part, and maybe have some fees when your part of the budget is a little bit beyond the tax rate. But we don't want to have overrides, underrides. We really do try to balance the budget within whatever parameters we have. Or that's been my personal take.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Hi, Greg LeBrecq, 11 Baldwin Terrace. And I appreciate all the talk about underrides and overrides and things like that, but what people always seem to forget, a really good committee maybe to have would be a history committee. Remember why things were done and why they were, the reason for it. Yes, we did an underride after an override for school, and we had to do another one 2 years later. We would have had to do it anyways. The reason the underride was done is because people were planning back town meeting and take that money and shift it around to their departments. We understand how town meeting works. We protected the people from it by doing that. Now, for people to say an underride, when you do an override, it only matters for 1 year. Well, I don't know about, doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies why I'd want to vote for an override again. I voted for an override we voted for overrides 3 times. 1 did fail, but 3 times they passed to pay for trash and recycling pickup. That's worth $1.1 million of the revenue stream of the town right now, and the bill's less than that. So if we're going to be passing overrides and then shifting the money around afterwards and coming back to the one thing that people seem to care about, I don't think I could ever vote for an override again as long as I live in this town.
Thank you, Greg. All right. Yes, Ed.
Well, the Trash and Recycling Committee was formed to come up with a recommendation. There was a survey that was done. Overwhelmingly, the people were looking for a 64-gallon cart as opposed to a 35. We had a public information session here a couple weeks ago. The far majority of the people were supporting a 64-gallon container, saying that a 35 wasn't sufficient. And we work for the people. And if you're hearing after the survey, after the comments, that 35-gallon is not going to work, that why bother to do the survey and why bother to have the information system if you're not going to listen to the people? We're up here, we're voted in by the people to listen to them. And the least amount of people will be affected if we go to a 64-gallon trash barrel rather than the 35. The 35, and I defy anybody with a family of more than 3 people with a husband and wife and 1 kid, they can get everything into a 35-gallon container. I don't think that's happening. My recommendation is a 64.
Yes, Steve.
So look, I mean, the way I look at it is we're going to make a decision that's going to affect every household in Groveland for the next 5 to 10 years. I think we agree on that. It's also a decision that I think is really hard to reverse. Once we commit, if we decide we have to change course, it means new contracts, new carts, and ultimately new expenses that are going to fall back on everybody. I'm not sure exactly how we can claim success in lowering our costs of the trash contract if we haven't even defined a savings target. We know that we want to save money, but how much? How are we going to measure that success? We also know that our current contract was poorly negotiated, and our next contract will be negotiated, the negotiation will be led by the town administrator, who I think has done a really good job with things like this in the past. And I believe the process will get the attention that it deserves. Something that concerns me a lot is if we go with 35 gallons and a year from now, everybody's aggravated, the town administrator and the Board of Health are getting overwhelmed with complaints. What exactly is our exit strategy? What is our plan? If we go with 64, we have some flexibility. If the cost savings that we're trying to accomplish fall short, we could, and it would be an absolute last resort, put in a curbside pickup fee. I think we all agree that moving to automation is going to save us somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 a year. That's a significant amount of savings, regardless of cart size. And I think those savings give us a head start towards any budget goals that we're trying to accomplish, really, to me, making it somewhat unnecessary to take a gamble on a barrel size that people are telling us isn't going to work. We did surveys, we had public sessions, and we heard from families, seniors, single-person households, all have said 64 gallons is what they need. And I'm not sure that making a drastic change that people are already telling us is going to fail, especially when we know or we don't know what a contract is going to look like going forward, makes any sense at all. Choosing 64 gallons I don't think means we have to stop working on waste reduction. We can still continue to push composting, additional cardboard drop-off, and expand recycling education, which I think the Trash and Recycling Committee has done an excellent job on. I really want to see the board make a choice that shows residents that we actually trust them and value their opinions and listen to their needs, and that we can build a program that works for everyone. And I think that's the 64-gallon barrel.
Go ahead.
Speak? Okay. I wrote it down so I don't go off the rails too much. But I wanted to start off by taking a step back and looking at the trash cart recommendation and how it aligns with the Select Board's priorities. As I've heard Select Board members say in the past, we need to look for ways to keep taxes under control, particularly for older adults. And also, we need to be proactive, not reactive to town issues. I feel like this initiative reflects both of those values. So remember that the Trash and Recycling Committee was formed by looking at our budget and identifying the largest controllable cost, which is solid waste. This goal was to find sustainable, cost-effective solutions that reduce expenses and environmental impact. The key strategy recommended is the use of the 96-gallon recycling cart paired with a 35-gallon trash cart. This approach helps reduce trash tonnage overall, which directly impacts our disposal costs. Because when residents ask, how can the town keep taxes down, this is one of the answers. Is it a perfect solution? No. I do have concerns, particularly regarding the expectations being placed on some of the residents, the logistics of managing overflow bags with automated trucks, the complexities of inventory control, and the potential administrative strain on town hall staff, who will likely be the first point of contact for concerned residents. However, with thoughtful planning and well-defined support model, these challenges can be addressed effectively. I want to extend a thank you to our Highway Department Superintendent for providing the Groveland data. I love data. It shows that 70% of residents could use a single 35-gallon cart without changing their current habits, while 28% may need to lease a second cart, and 2% would require individual solutions. With additional education on trash diversion, especially targeting households of 4, we could increase that percentage of residents who can rely on just one cart to 88%. That's a significant opportunity for improvement. So we face a tough decision. Do we adopt a one-size-fits-all approach where every household pays the same regardless of how much trash they generate, effectively asking the 70 to 88% of lower-producing households to subsidize the cost of those producing more? Or do we offer flexibility, allowing the 70 to 88% of residents who can manage with one cart avoid paying more? So this decision reflects our values. How much do we want to keep our taxes down? And how proactive do we want to be financially? With that being said, I support the 35-gallon cart recommendation.
All right, so does everybody on the board feel confident that they can vote on this tonight?
Yes.
I'll repeat what I said at the end of my presentation. For the select board, I think we need to unite. I think that there has been, the thing that's disturbed me probably the most isn't that the 35-gallon cart recommendation wasn't beloved by the town. That doesn't bother me at all. What disturbed me the most was what I considered like the villainization of members of that committee as if they had done something wrong. They did everything right. They did all the research right. And they recommended overall a compromise that allowed for 70 gallons. Now, that being said, there was a pushback from those that would need the second cart that they felt that that second cart with a fee on it was a penalty. They felt penalized. Like, why am I being charged something for trash when nobody else used to get charged for trash? So looking for where we're coming from as a community, I do think that eventually the 35-gallon cart is the answer. But I feel that if we go that route now, we'd have 2, maybe 3 significant problems. One would be those people that need the second cart or think they need it are now paying what they consider to be a penalty. They don't consider it a pay-as-you-throw. They consider it a penalty. And I don't feel I want our citizens to feel they have a penalty charge. So that would require, I think, more outreach and education until people look at trash the way they look at water use and other things. And they don't look at it that way. I mean, we've listened to folks involved in our town government say, well, we passed 3 overrides, you have all this money available for trash. No, we don't. And anybody who works on the town budget, or even somebody who has a basic brain, can figure out how much money the town has available for the budget any year. It's 2.5% over last year plus new growth. It's not difficult. It's not an amazing forecast. It's very basic. So if you give the 70% a cart larger than what they need right now, and some of them are using small carts, understand that. They're using them or they're using bags, because I had to know, so I drove around town this summer and looked. Okay. I did a trash survey of my own, just to kind of get a feel. It's all kinds of cart sizes out there right now, all kinds of setups that are going on, because that's what we've allowed. And those people that refuse the larger recycling cart can still put their recycling out from now until when the new contract kicks in. But after that, I think the board needs to think about, do we have people sign up? Because once we vote a cart size, it's not just a cart size we have to vote. We have to vote that this is it. You either sign up to get the carts we're giving, or you're going to contract for your own curbside trash and recycle pickup, as is the law. Okay, that's what Boxford did when they went universal on their cart size. They also put a fee universal, but I understand right now everybody's very, I don't want to pay a fee for trash. That could be something the board could say as part of their motion, that they're going to monitor, and if needed, we will introduce a user fee on trash in order to stabilize that part of our budget. Because myself personally, I don't want to take money that I'm giving to other town services, services that I like to have, services that don't have a lot of staffing. I don't want to redirect that to trash. Trash is not that important to me. Okay, I'm willing to dig in and find any way to redirect everything I have. And I realize that's because I've been on this committee for 2 years. Before this, I had no clue. So I didn't. It's the truth. But now I'm educated, I realize we have a lot of education to do. There was a huge misrepresentation of what the committee was recommending. They recommended up to 70 gallons, but it involved 2 35-gallon carts, one with a fee on it. And I think if we all agree not to do that, we need to address the financial side of this. We need to address the sign-up part of this so that people sign something that says they're accepting these carts. I don't want our employees working hard to distribute these carts to have them shoved back in their face, or have, worse still, someone grabbing more than one cart. Okay, and people need to understand if they don't have the assigned carts, their trash and recycling will not get picked up. Okay, and I think the board also has to address the amount, even with a change in cart size, the amount of pushback and complaining and questioning, people that are lost. We need to make sure we have the staffing available for those concerns and questions, because it's going to be a lot. It's not just a cart size. It's a brand-new contract. It's automated pickup. It's, you can't put out whatever you want. You know, you have to agree. You have to sign on. So I would prefer the motion to have those caveats in it for the trash cart size, for the signing up part, and for the fact that we're going to monitor this tonnage and the cost of the tonnage, especially the tipping fee. And if it's escalating more rapidly than we're comfortable with, we will look at a possible user fee on trash.
So can I make a motion, and then we can amend it as we need to?
Sure.
So what I'd like to do is make a motion that the select board adopt the following modified version of the Trash and Recycling Committee's recommendations. The town will pursue a new trash contract that includes automated pickup. The town will provide each household with a 96-gallon recycling cart and a 64-gallon trash cart. The board will retain the option to implement a curbside pickup fee in the future if cost savings in the new contract do not meet defined goals. The town will continue to allow households to purchase overflow trash bags for additional capacity as needed. The town will continue to promote and support curbside composting, including the current grant for starter kits and the use of future funds such as RDP points to subsidize composting efforts. And the town will provide additional cardboard drop-off locations. I'd like to start with that.
I'll second it and ask for a friendly amendment. I'd like to remove the overflow trash bags. We are going to the larger cart, and wait to see what the negotiations say about any overflow bags, because they might limit our choices of haulers and contract cost and our savings on the curbside pickup. It could adversely impact it. And instead offer in the contract to look for a drop-off site if people have additional trash, that they would have to pay for it.
Yeah, I think that's,
In lieu of that, because I just feel like we don't know which way it's going to go. If we could allow both options to go into the negotiation.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay, thank you. So it's accepted.
I need to make a friendly amendment as well, that the town still make available smaller recycle and smaller trash barrels to the people that need them, whether they're elderly or disabled.
I'll second that.
I'll make a friendly amendment to the friendly amendment. That in doing so, the determination on other towns has gone through our Council on Aging for the most part. Because we don't want people who just say, I don't want this. We don't want to overburden our staff, and we don't want to have to order an excessive amount of different sizes.
Could we make it the Council on Aging and the Board of Health, since it may not just be elderly residents that are impacted by that?
What do you think, David? Should it go to you guys?
Can I just say, if we're going to go to automated, the goal is to go to automated, giving everybody a cart size or a barrel size or a bucket size doesn't make any sense. I mean, we're going automated.
He says
My
give them,
father is 87 years old. He wheels out a 96-gallon container for recycling once a month, and he wheels out a 64-gallon trash bag. It can be done.
That was your
what do you think?
friendly amendment, so what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I mean, we have somebody here with cerebral palsy that can't do that. So she's going to need a smaller barrel. There's no question about it in my mind. And I don't think that I have a problem with making that accommodation. Yes.
Sorry, when you said, you mean like a 30, like you don't want a 64, I'd rather just have a 35 automated pickup, or do you mean they can have their own barrel that the guy has to have?
No, the town would still provide them with a barrel.
Could be a 35.
Yeah, something that if they can't manage it, it'll still be automated. That doesn't change anything. But what it does do is it allows us to accommodate some of the elderly people that can't handle the barrels.
Yep.
Because we've already had people that have stated that with the 96, and we knew that was going to be something that would come up in the future.
Clearly, if there's an accommodation needed for somebody who's handicapped, I mean, obviously, I think we have to accommodate that.
Well, I think that's what we're saying.
I
Yeah.
don't think we want to be going around to every single house or every single senior
No.
and saying, we can do this.
Well,
Right.
that's the point of putting it through the Council on Aging.
Yep.
So they'll have some control over it to help limit the request based on actual need.
I mean, I'm good with that.
Okay, and on the issue of the 96-gallon cart, I want the negotiations to include the option of pickup every other week to see if it provides.
Well, that'll all be
savings.
done during the negotiations when we
Right.
hit all the companies
But
to each other.
I'm asking the board to
get the
be
best
united
deal.
on that.
Well, I don't want to commit to every other week if we aren't going to.
I'm asking to allow the board to vote to allow it in the negotiation, so that if the contract comes back, some member of this board doesn't sit here and say, I never agreed to that. I want it out on the table now so that we know what we're going to look at and what we're going to consider, out in the open, transparent, full visibility. I think it makes sense.
You accept that?
Yeah, I mean,
Just-
I don't have a
just
problem.
Something
with us-
we'll consider.
I don't have a problem considering it. I mean,
Yeah,
I think we'd
that's
have to
fine.
decide on that when we see contract proposals.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you're allowing for it to be considered.
Sure.
Okay. As long as that's part of the vote.
We have a second?
We have a second.
Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Ed?
Would you repeat the motion with the friendly amendment so that everybody knows what they're voting on? There's been so many friendly amendments that are added. Just want to make sure everybody's clear on what we're voting on.
I'll read the original, and can you guys do your friendly amendments, because I didn't capture them all. So the motion was, the town pursue a new trash contract that included automated pickup. The town will provide each household with a 96-gallon recycling cart and a 64-gallon trash cart. The board will retain the option to implement a curbside pickup fee in the future if cost savings in the new contract do not meet defined goals. The town will continue to promote and support curbside composting, including the current grant for starter kits and the use of future funds such as RDP points to subsidize composting efforts. The town will provide additional cardboard drop-off locations. And I think Kathy had two.
And then, so the first friendly amendment was that the issue of either an overflow bag or a place to drop off excess trash will be considered in the contract negotiation, but it's not a commitment.
Yep.
And in addition, as part of the rollout, we will ask people to sign on for the automated pickup, understanding what is provided and what your responsibilities are.
And then it was also that.
And then an application will be available for you if you feel there is a hardship with the size of either one or both bins.
And then that contract negotiations will include the option to go to biweekly recycling.
Yes, the contract negotiations will include the option to go to biweekly recycling pickup only. Yep.
I think that's all of it.
Yes. One cart, yes.
All right. Is that clarified?
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you. So with that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
And now we'll talk about dissolving the Trash and Recycle Committee. I put this on here because I really felt that the Trash and Recycle Committee did a phenomenal job in gathering the information and providing everybody with the options, and I was very passionate about what they did. So I wanted to thank them, but I think it's time to take anything that's been learned and bring it to the board and to help continue to educate the people. I know that even still, since we do have the TV that's coming back this year, that trash and recycling, I'm sure, will be a big topic on there as well. So with that, I'll make a motion to dissolve the Trash and Recycling Committee.
Second?
Second, any discussion?
Yes. I have two thoughts on this. First of all, as the chair of the committee, I think it would have been customary to let the committee meet, to know that this was going to be on the agenda. It would have been a nice courtesy. I understand things are rushed and everybody's trying to get everything done. But I also know that we have spoken within our committee members, and I spoke here tonight again, of the transformation of this committee into a sustainability committee, which is typically a much larger committee. So we have several key players in this committee now. We have the chair of the Board of Health, invaluable. We have the chair of the Finance Board, invaluable. We have citizens who have been studying this for 2 years, and I think we should open the committee up to more citizens. And I believe that the Select Board, one of our biggest charges is to include our residents in our process of governing, in our process of decision-making. We don't want to take it all on ourselves. We want to allow our citizens to find things out and bring them forward as good ideas, like we're doing with the Town Meeting Committee, okay? We're letting a citizen gather together people and look at whether we want our town meeting on Monday night or Saturday morning. This is no different. It's a volunteer committee. I think the Select Board has more than enough issues that it needs to deal with without trying to be a volunteer committee. And I think that when you pull in volunteers and you open up for more volunteers, you get more people involved, the chances of us getting more people to buy into recycling and composting are much higher than if it remains here within the Select Board as part of our meeting. You want to get more citizens involved. You want to open this up, and you want to let this committee continue and evolve. What I would suggest is you invite all the TRC members to join the new Sustainability Committee and then open it up for additional at least 5 or more residents, with the understanding that this committee would meet maybe quarterly to come up with great ideas and great sustainabilities and see how we're doing and to provide feedback to the board.
I think that'll be a great agenda item for another day.
Well, I'm not going to vote to dissolve until I know what's coming next, because I think that it was improper to put it on the agenda without talking to the committee. It doesn't seem friendly to our volunteers to dissolve them without talking to them. It's the way you drive people away from town government. That's like the way to do it if you want to do it.
All right, sounds good. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I have something.
Yes.
I'm actually against this because I feel like it's irresponsible not to establish a dedicated committee for a cause that directly benefits the town especially when we've already voted to remove the tool that was specifically recommended to control, I think, the trash tonnage. I think right now, if we're going with a 64, I think the education is that much more vital, because right now we're putting the accountability on the residents to keep their trash tonnage down by giving them the 64-gallon cart. I think having that extra education and that consistent messaging is vital. So that's my opinions on that. But I think rebranding it I know that's not the right term, but
Yep.
would make the most sense, especially other towns that are doing the same.
Okay. Any further? Yes.
Just two things. First of all, I'd like to thank the Trash and Recycling Committee for all the work that they did. And what I would suggest is that we add an agenda item to hopefully the next agenda where we can define a charter for a sustainability committee. But I think we need to have that discussion.
Needs to
And
be
it's
on
not
the
on the
agenda.
agenda tonight, so obviously we can't.
All right, without any further discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'm sorry. I'd just like to point out, I think these appointments are through June, so if you're going to do something, I think it would make sense just to wait till June.
Noted. All in favor? Against? 3 in favor, 2 against. With that, we'll move on to appointments and resignations. I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Ruth Ravad from the Finance Board effective September 29th, 2025.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes. Having known Ruth and gotten to know Ruth very well through the financial board, she was a great asset to our finance committee through some really difficult times, the pandemic included. She weathered the storms of all that and stayed involved, and now is on our cultural council. And I hope that other folks watching this will ignore the last motion by this board and listen to Ruth and still join our town committees.
Any further discussion?
No, I would just like to thank Ruth for all of her hard work on the various committees that she's involved in. I watch a lot of finance board meetings as well, and you do a great job.
And with that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Reluctantly.
Right.
Reluctantly. Thank you very much, Ruth.
Thank you, Ruth.
We look forward to you being on other committees in the future. And with that, we'll move on to town administrator's time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a couple of updates. As you can see in the memo, we were notified by the Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs that they have revised their regulations and have allowed communities to extend their open space and recreation plan. So we took the opportunity to extend the plan an additional 3 years. Typically, the plan is only good for 7 years. So we did submit an update to our action plan to EOEEA, and they did approve that. It was also reviewed by the planning board at their September 16th meeting and approved. So the extension was actually approved today, and that makes our current open space and recreation plan current through December 2029. I also wanted to follow up with the board and just give you a brief update in regards to the land management agreement with the Department of Fish and Game in regards to the Pines Recreation Area. At our meeting, we had discussed a couple of concerns that we had brought forward, and I did discuss them with the director, and they did acknowledge a couple of those. There are still a few outstanding areas, one of which is the fee and the fee structure, so we are taking a little bit more of a closer look at what we have for the fee structure in place. They did say that those fees, both resident and non-resident, have to be the same if we were to move forward. So I kind of want to take a little bit of a closer look at exactly what we have for our fee structure, including what we have for just the boat ramp permit as well as the mooring fees, et cetera. So there's more to follow on that particular issue. And the other issue was brought forward by the chair in regards to the wharf and the actual construction and making that a little bit more heavy duty to suit the current of the river. And they had not reviewed that, but said that they would be amenable to including it as a separate project in review. So we're just kind of getting another, or a little bit more clarity as exactly what that means. If it's going to be part, like a supplemental to the agreement, is it going to be an entirely different project? How is that going to be phased in? How can we from the town's perspective, confirm our rights to consider that moving forward? So we are continuing those conversations, and once we have additional information, we will be touching base. And then the last update.
Could I just ask a question on the fees? Do we have a breakdown of the fees that we collect today, resident versus non-resident?
We do, and I'm taking a closer look
Okay.
and putting them into a chart. I can send them.
That
over
would be
to
great.
you. Yes, 100%. I'll send those over to the board this evening. And then the other update was just in regards to the joint North Shore Regional 911. And we were recently invited to the advisory board meeting since we have signed the IMA. So I just wanted to let the board know that we're continuing on with our onboarding process. We're looking at a date of December 2025. We recognize that this is not a hard deadline. There is a chance that we could get pushed back in the queue, but we are working hard with them to make sure that they can procure all of the additional infrastructure that is necessary in order to bring us on board. And if you recall, during that conversation, we're looking close to $700,000 of infrastructure improvements that come at no cost to the town in order to make sure that we have everything in place to connect. So they are working to procure and go through that process and bring us on board in a timely manner. We have expressed our concern with our recent staffing issues. As you all know, our staffing issues started back in January, which is why we even explored moving to the North Shore Rec. Those problems have only gotten worse. We have worked with our police union to put together an agreement that allows some of the officers to cover some of the open shifts. That obviously causes staffing issue on the police side of things. So the police chief is doing everything that he possibly can in order to make sure that the department is running smoothly and that we have adequate coverage in dispatch. We did receive additional assistance from the state 911 department. They have been acknowledging that many communities, not just Groveland, are currently in this situation. So they are looking for people to fill those slots and recruiting them and recommending and helping train those folks so that they're able to fill that in the interim while we go through the onboarding process with the rec. So we are very appreciative of the state and their efforts, in addition to all of the work that the rec has done in order to bring us on as quickly and as seamlessly as possible. And other than that, my memo just contains the ongoing projects, field use permits, procurement updates, and meetings, events, and seminars. If anybody has any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Anybody have any questions for Rebecca?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Kathy.
Hi. I was happy to see the lines being painted on the roads. That was great. But what I'm wondering is, and I know other residents have said this as well, what about the crosswalks? Because we do have cars like really speeding through residential streets. And I do think that seeing a crosswalk kind of gives you a heads up. Oh, there might be a child or somebody trying to cross the road here. Maybe I shouldn't be going 50 miles an hour. And I know the police are doing everything they can to thwart that, but I do think the painting of crosswalks helps, because it also gives an enforcement area. If somebody steps into the crosswalk and the police officer sees the car go right through the crosswalk, that's an offense, right? Right? So, yeah, if we can't see the crosswalk, well, then good luck getting across the road, right?
So the highway superintendent had just put out the line painting for all of the streets in Groveland, which was something that was in dire need. In addition
Yes.
to that, the highway department has also purchased their own line painting machines, so the crew should be out within the next few weeks attending to all of the crosswalks throughout the town. So that is on their list of things to do. Right now, they are currently, or they just finished up trying to prep the site over at the skate park. One of the reasons that we were able to move forward with that project is because the highway department had volunteered some of their time in prepping the site before the contractor came on. So that took away their ability to go out and do those crosswalks, but they just wrapped that up. The contractor has just arrived, so they will be tending to those in the next few weeks.
Right, and so we spoke about that there should have been a crosswalk at Salem and Washington Street. I don't know if it's even visible anymore. So are they going to be able to identify where that should be?
Yes, they are.
And could they put a crosswalk to Washington Park? Because I don't think there was ever one there. But now there's a lot more traffic on that little road.
We'll have to talk to the highway superintendent to see exactly what his process is in establishing a threshold for a crosswalk. I'm sure that there's traffic safety standards that you need to abide by. You just can't throw a crosswalk anywhere you want because you might think.
No, it's not anywhere, it's across
No.
from the park.
But at that point in time, we can evaluate that, and if it's necessary, I'm sure that they would have no problem adding that to their list.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Rebecca. With that, we'll move on to Select Board time and reports. Ed?
I don't have anything.
Steve?
Nothing tonight.
Becky?
Yes, everyone should go to the Pine Speedway reunion this Saturday, because it's a really cool part of Groveland history. So check it out. Hopefully the weather's going to be good, but I know they put a lot of work into it, so
Rain or
definitely head to
shine.
the Pines. Yep.
Kathy?
A couple of things. One, I went down the walking bike path, and it was fairly free of animal refuse.
Leftovers.
Dog poop. There was like just one, and I did pick it up and bag it. But I mean, basically, the path is beautiful. It's clean. Everybody's using it. There's always cars there. I think it's one of the best things we've ever done in this town. And I think, as our town administrator correctly pointed out, it's connecting different parts of town. You can come down Ann Street, jump on that, and you're down at Shanahan Field. I mean, it's amazing. The second thing is, the garden, I think you have a correspondence on this already, right? That the garden club is going to collaborate with our cemetery and grounds supervisor, and they're going to plan an improvement to that little garden by the back doors. Something that will look spiffy and bloom on and off. And the second thing is, I think tentatively, maybe Rebecca will tell me if I'm wrong or right, I think we're going to try and kick off this costume swap thing. We're going to do it on Wednesday, the 15th, and I'm guessing 3 to 6, but unless someone tells me another time, at the town hall. They're going to collect costumes at the Bagnall, and we'll create a drop-off place here as well. So, anybody that has old costumes in good shape, bring them by. Don't throw them out. Give them to us. We'll make them look spiffy and hang them up, and people can come in and choose new costumes. Why not, right? And we could probably use some volunteers on Wednesday for the swap part, if anybody's interested in hanging out and letting people pick up costumes. Could be fun. I'm going to do it. Because it was my idea.
On that again? You said
3 to 6, I'm thinking.
3 to 6?
Yeah, trying to keep it like family-friendly hours.
15th or the 16th?
15th.
What?
The 15th.
or
The 15th. I think that's a Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And we're also coordinating with Lisa at the Bagnall School, and she'll have a bin there, and then we'll coordinate getting the things here, and it's kind of thrown together quickly next year, maybe a little more forethought, but nevertheless, we'll give it a shot. Yeah.
All right. So October 4th, Pine Speedway's reunion.
Be there.
Be there. It's going to be fun either way, rain or shine. We have also October Pumpkin Fest, October 22nd.
Yep.
October 1st is the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting, and October 8th is the Conservation Commission meeting.
That's a wrap.
With that, I'll talk about the correspondence. We've all been invited from the American Legion to participate in the City of Haverhill Annual Veterans Day Parade on Monday, the 11th. We also have the report from GZA on the Johnson Creek Dam removal, the preliminary assessment. And our next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, October 14th at 6:30.
Could I ask one question on that GZA
Yes.
report? Since there's like 1,700 or 1,500 pages in there, could we get like a summary from them, or is there a particular summary within that document that we should review?
I can take a closer look and see if there's a way that we can summarize the document. I also know that I've been trying to work with GZA to provide a presentation, whether it be to the select board or to the Conservation Commission in regards to their findings. So we're just trying to coordinate that. But in the interim, I can find a way to get a synopsis of that document.
Yeah, a big portion of it looked like it was testing data, but it would be good to know if there was any red flags in there or anything of that nature.
100%, we can do that.
Awesome. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn at 8:05 PM.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Yep.
Unanimous. Thank you.